Hey, what's up, you guys? So I know it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, and I decided to do this as kind of an update video, I guess you could say, on these shoes right here, which I haven't really done a whole lot of running in. The Puma SPEED Orbiters that I did an initial review on probably about a month or so ago. On these particular shoes, and you know what, I didn't really do a whole lot of running in these because it's the best words to say it. I guess it had to do with comfort, and it took me a while to kind of break these shoes in, and I think that's actually the trick with these shoes, is you've got to be able to break them in. So they are really firm right out of the gate. I mean, really firm. So they're not the most comfortable shoes that I've ever had to wear right out of the box, where I can just go out and do mile after mile after mile. But over time, these have actually become a really comfortable shoe. So needless to say, I've only done about 30 miles in these shoes, but I've done a ton of walking in these shoes because just trying to break them in. Like when I was running, it would hurt my feet, it would hurt my ankles. It was just not really the most like positive type of shoe or positive feel that I could have. That being said, you do get a lot of road feel in these shoes. That's the one thing that was a positive with these shoes, is if you're looking for a shoe that you want to be able to feel the road as your foot hits the ground and be able to have a little bit maybe better push off on it, I think these are actually an excellent shoe here. So let me just go and go through what my review is. I guess you could say, I don't want to say 50 miles, but let's say 30 miles of running with an additional probably 20 or more actually of walking on it. So let me just go and first say, incredibly durable shoe. Incredibly durable shoe. Let me first put that out there, because I have shoes made by Nike that after 20 something miles I'm already seeing, in my opinion, excessive amount of wear. These, on the other hand, almost like little to no wear. After all of the walking that I've been doing, after the running that I've done in these shoes, there's almost like little to no wear on these things. So the upper has kind of loosened up a little bit from what it was. It's still sort of kind of stiff, but it's a little bit looser than what it was. But that being said, the upper still locks you down really good. It's still incredibly comfortable. I wish it was a little bit more breathable. I was starting to feel a little bit on the run this morning in these shoes, which I ran just over 4 miles in these shoes. It's kind of my continuous run is 4 miles. If I can do 4 miles a day, I think that's pretty good for me. So the upper, I wish it could breathe a little bit more. It's still kind of a rather thick upper, but we're still dealing with, here in Florida, like 90-degree heat and like, I don't know, 86%, 90 something percent humidity. Even early in the morning when I go for a run, it's still like 75, 76 degrees and like 90% humidity. So that might be part of it. I'm not too sure. So we'll kind of move on from that, but the upper does feel really good. The tongue is still very, doesn't have a whole lot of padding there to begin with, but it still secures you down really good. It has a really nice lockdown. Probably one of my favorite things is the back clip that's on here that has a nice little Puma right there. This back clip offers some really good stability. I mean, it's, the top right here folds down, but I mean, other than that, really awesome ankle support right there. Does help with that stability while you're running. Even after 4 miles, I felt great after 4 miles. So that was one of the positives that I liked. The padding still feels nice, and I don't want to say it's plush padding, but there's padding that's there. It seems like they did what they could to try to cut a little bit of weight on the upper, because a lot of the weight is underneath, and we'll get to that here in a second. But as we talked about, like, what was it? The energy beads and the other ignite foam. That's what it is. The ignite foam and the energy beads that are in this midsole, they offer not as much absorption as much as it creates energy. So it kind of has a little bit where it's stiffer. I mean, you can, if you push on, I mean, I'm having to use, just in the heel area, which is the thickest part, I have to use quite a bit of force to squish it down, as you see right there. And then same when we go up to the front here, I mean, you can clearly see it's rather stiff. I mean, so when you're landing on this, it's like, I mean, it's absorbing, but it's having to absorb that energy and quickly disperse it, kind of like a basketball or something, you know, a ball that bounces really, you know, has a lot of pressure in it and just really bounces. That's kind of how this foam and the energy beads kind of feel. It doesn't really, dare I say it, it doesn't really conform, you know, too well, like when you land, and, you know, like with the float ride foam or the React foam, it kind of absorbs a nice plush kind of feel underneath your foot. This definitely doesn't have that. That being said, I think some of it also has to do with the outsole too, and we'll get to that again here in a second. So it doesn't really have that kind of plush feel. The toe box is also rather snug for me. Most of my shoes are true to fit, or maybe feel a little bit wider as a normal shoe. They aren't wide shoes, they're just normal shoes, but they do kind of have that true to fit feel. This is a little bit of a narrower toe box. So personally, I would love to have a little bit more toe area, but I do have to say that when I'm transitioning, maybe taking a tight corner, so on and so forth, I do kind of like it being a little bit tighter in that toe area, because it does allow me to kind of transition and move a little bit easier. So that's kind of a positive. So now we go underneath, and I mean, you can see there's almost like no wear on any of these. Now they're not like thick. You can't really, I don't know how good you can really see it on here, but they're not deep. Okay, these little treads right here are not deep to begin with, but when you're running, I mean, you can clearly see that none of these are really worn in at all. And I have shoes that have the same amount of mileage on them, and you'd say like, wow, they look like they've had more than what you're saying on them. This for sure doesn't have anywhere near the amount of wear that I'm seeing on some of my other shoes at the same amount of mileage. And this is a shoe that, again, I was walking with to kind of help break it in and to wear it in. I've ran with it, so, and all of it's on pavement. There is nothing that's on trail or off-road or anything. This is all pavement running, and this is an incredibly durable shoe. That being said, you can clearly see how thick that rubber is on the bottom of the shoe. Even in the heel area, you can see how thick that rubber is on the bottom of the shoe. So I mean, it's an incredible durable material. This is a shoe that I could easily see somebody, even at my weight, going 400 or 500 miles in a pair of shoes like this. This is, I mean, it's an incredible shoe. That being said, I've gotten used to, like I said, that plush running, the Nike React foam, like the Milers that I have, the Brooks with the DNA foam in it, the Reeboks that have the float ride foam that is just incredibly plush, and when you land, it's like landing on pillows and just super just cushy and whatnot. These, not so much on the cushy side, but what it does absorb, it immediately wants to bring it back into energy return. And that also helps with that pro plate that's underneath here in the midsole. That pro plate definitely helps with the transitions moving forward. So again, today was kind of the first day in, I want to say, maybe 3 weeks that I've actually taken these shoes out for a run. And honestly, it felt really, really good. I mean, the transition going from a mid or heel strike to forefoot off to toe off felt really good. It felt like I had plenty of propulsion. Even when I tried to go up tempo, it didn't feel like I was using that much energy. Having to go up tempo, it seemed like the shoe was really doing the work for me when I would go up tempo. And then even when I slowed it down, it seemed like there was enough absorption in that that midfoot strike or even that heel strike to absorb some of that impact and be able to still propel you forward. That being said, my time with these shoes, if you look at my average time with the shoes is actually not very good. But the time today was pretty much on par with what I was getting out of my Pegasus 37s. So I'm averaging about 8.25, so 8 minutes 15 seconds in the Pegasus 37s, pretty much on par with that with these shoes. Which one would I actually prefer to run in if I was picking between the two, the Peg 37s and these? In a way, I kind of like the road feel on these. It seems a little bit more responsive. It seems to have a little bit better support, which is kind of what I like. And the weight of the shoes are almost equal with each other when you feel them on your feet. So I kind of prefer these over the Pegasus 37s. That's kind of a surprise to even me. After the run this morning, how I'm feeling now, honestly, I really like these shoes now that I've kind of broken them in a little bit here. It took a while, and I think that's part of the reason why these are shoes that'll last you mile after mile after mile, is because that's what they're made for. They're made for being that shoe, that trainer shoe that's going to last you a long time. So the foam that's underneath is not going to break down as quickly as, say, some of the other foams that are out there on the market. So that is something to consider with these particular shoes, or anyone that's using that hybrid technology that Puma is using. Is, yes, they're very firm right out of the box, but if you break them in, it's going to take time. You have to put miles on them, and even then, you might not even have to use them as a running shoe. You might use them as a walking shoe too, just to break them in. So it's something to think about when you're looking at these Speed Orbiters or any of the some of the other shoes that Puma offers. Is you may have to feel them out and say, okay, well, they're very firm now, but you look at the construction, you look at the way that these are made to be a shoe that is going to last a long time. And that's something you have to think about with these shoes. The thick upper, yes, it doesn't breathe as good, but you're probably not going to wear down that upper as quickly. The midsole, same thing. That foam might be a little stiff right off the bat, but you have to break it in, and it takes miles to break it in. So you have to think of that. The outsole, you look at how thick that rubber is. That's what it's made for. It's made to be a durable shoe. So something to think about if you are looking at the Speed Orbiters. This is kind of my, I want to say 50-mile update, but it's more like a 30-mile run with another 20 to 30 miles of walking on these shoes. I use them every day for a while, just out and about, going around, because they are a good-looking shoe. So it's something to think about if you are looking at the Puma Speed Orbiter hybrid running shoes. So if you like the video, click the like, hit subscribe, share if you have some friends that are looking for reviews. This is, again, I'm going to do some update videos on how these shoes are performing, and this is going to be my first one right here. So again, thank you guys for watching, and as always, enjoy the run.